It's always time to take a look at what's going on in the rest of the organization, and our own Steve Melewski gives you all this coverage. Check out it on MASNsports.com. Of course, going through some of those rising tide pitchers as well as the newest selections from the 2021 draft. And everybody wants to hear about Jahmai Jones. He's been turning heads ever since he was acquired from the Angels. And Steve, I mean, again, there's just so many good things to pick apart right now with the Orioles minor leagues. But let's start with AAA first and what Mike Baumann has been able to do.
He finally got to AAA. That was exciting. You know, he had the right flexor strain, which had him shut down at the alternate camp late last year. Gave him some problems early this year. Slow start to the season, slow start to the results. But guess what? Now he looks like the big Mike we all knew and loved and the Orioles expected. The AAA debut Friday night. In the box score, it doesn't overwhelm you. 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, 74 pitches. But what happened within the game was pretty impressive. Durham, his opponent, one of the best teams in minor league baseball, jumped him for 2 runs. They got some fastballs and hit him well in the first 4 batters he faced. But then, Melanie, he really settled in. He retired 13 of the last 14 he faced. He was touching 97 in the 5th inning. And actually, he pitched a complete game because there was a rain delay. They called the game. It was an official game. He would have probably gone out for the 6th at 74 pitches had the rain not hit. But he was really impressive. The fastball velocity held over 5 innings, sitting mid-90, touching 97. His slider, which has always been a big pitch for Mike Baumann, was really on in this game. In fact, it looks like he got about 65% whiff rate. They swung at it, and then they missed it when they swung at it about 65% of the time. The velo on the slider was like 90. And for comparison's sake, Tanner Scott's average slider velocity is 89. So, I mean, this guy was really throwing a wipeout slider and, you know, top 10 Oriole prospect. If you look at his July, Melanie, 5 starts between Bowie, 4 there, and 1 at Norfolk, 2.33 ERA, 4 walks, 30 strikeouts in 27 innings. He's on the 40-man, so we may well see him in the big leagues later this season.
And it's so good, too. I know fans were clamoring to see him back in action. So I guess you file that start with the notable achievement varieties here for the complete game performance. But I think, too, Steve, something that stands out because, you know, every minor league team is different. But we kept hearing how good that Durham team is. And you mentioned it a moment ago because that's what's coming up behind the Rays and that they might even be better than the Rays. So you see that type of a dominant performance against an equally tough club in the Durham Bulls. And to me, that speaks so much for where he's come so far this year.
Definitely. Strong AAA team. They don't have Wander Franco anymore, but they've still got players who played for the Rays this year that were in their lineup. They had a heavy left-handed lineup against Baumann, so he was mixing in some change-ups to offset that. But the slider and the fastball velocity was really exciting. It's great to see him healthy. He's able now to go 80, 90 pitches deep into games. Again, being on the 40-man, that can lead you to Baltimore. And I think a couple more outings like we saw Friday night, if the Orioles want to call on Big Mike later this year, he might be ready for that call.
I think we're all ready to see him for sure, but obviously everything happens in its own time. Now, 21-year-old Drew Rom, we got to talk about his start last night after the Orioles game. It was his Double-A debut, and again, you take a look at it here, 5 innings pitched. He's had 50 strikes of those 77 pitches, a 9-0 record so far, and a sub-3 ERA to boot. I mean, this kid obviously, again, earns that promotion to come up to the Bay Sox, but what is it for you in particular that stands out about the success that he is really able to push forward? It's another strong southpaw for the Orioles.
You know, when you draft high school pitchers, they can get there sooner. And it's exciting to have a talent like this that is just 21 getting already to Double-A. And he, like Baumann, he had some early issues in that game, but he really showed poise, and he settled in and threw a strong start for Bowie last night. You know, he's an athletic left-hander, 90-94 on his fastball. His split finger has come a long way. That change-up splitter has really become a good pitch for Rom. Pitchability is big for this kid. He's got many pitches. He knows how to use them. He can pitch backwards if he has to. And the other thing he's doing that is really effective is he'll change his arm slot, not dramatically, but enough to throw off hitters. He was doing it last night. He just goes in and out of different arm slots with ease. It's very comfortable for him. And a fourth-round pick out of a Kentucky high school in 2018, as you said, 9-0. He has 2 more wins than any Oriole minor leaguer. So Drew Rom, top 30 prospect, getting noticed.
It's so exciting just to watch these guys coming up. Now, on the flip side of things, position players, with Connor Norby and Colton Cowser here, the 2 new selections for the Orioles this year in the draft. What are the expectations you're hearing from Matt Blood and the rest of the staff about what they'll end up doing for the rest of this year?
Well, we're going to see them playing this week in the Florida Complex League, and maybe as soon as tomorrow. Many of the Oriole draft picks, of course, they signed 21 of 21, headed at the top by Cowser and Norby. We should expect to see them in box scores from the Florida Complex League this week, again, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Some of these guys, Melanie, will probably play 10 to 20 days in Florida, get their feet under them, get going. They haven't played in a while, since the college season shut down, so they got to get going a little bit. Then they'll probably bump them up to low single-A Delmarva, where they'll finish out the year, later go to instructional league. So the Orioles are excited. It's deadline day for draft picks to sign, and there are a few top 10-round picks teams are sweating out, seeing if they can get today, and the Orioles don't have to sweat that out. They got 21 of 21 days ago, and now, starting this week, we'll see their names in box scores. They'll get on the field in official minor league games.
Well, and again, that's just a hats off to all of the amazing men and women that we had who were working upstairs this whole time, looking over that whiteboard, making sure that they had all the names right to come into this organization. Steve, thank you so much for shining a light on what we've got going on with this rising tide. I know that I speak for a lot of us when we say we're so excited to see what this future holds.
You got it.